To my left, he really shouldn't be on the left, he should be on the right, is Joe Pagliarulo, otherwise known as Pag. My buddy.
Appreciate it.
Very, very happy about this guy. I've been on his show many, many times.
Yes.
And I always enjoy it. It is a treat to be on his show because it's like a full and complete interview and we cover everything. And so it's nice to have him here.
Mr. Mayor, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. You're the only person who can say the name right. Everybody else is bad. Let's just go with Pags.
Like my name, Gugliani, Guglini, Guglio.
I actually had Joe pack of gorillas once on a piece of mail. On a piece of mail, I promise you. So thank you for getting it right.
So the first time I was on the Today Show, and Brian Gumbel was like new at the time.
Right.
He was having a real hard time with my last name. I was U.S. attorney then, so he's going Rudolph Giuliani, Rudolph. Think of it this way: Jew, Lee, and E.
Done.
He writes it out. He writes Jew, the word Jew, Lee, and E. Beginning of the show. And today I have with me the United States Attorney Ralph Giuliani.
Come on. Yeah. That's too much. Pagliarulo, Giuseppe. Yeah.
I tell him to remember Julius Caesar. Giulio Cesare.
Exactly right.
Giulio. It's actually Giuliani. That's the actual pronunciation.
Right.
But
that's the way I say it.
Giuliani. So we're going to just talk about everything, but we're going to begin with the fact that it was the president of Israel that turned Biden down, not just Bibi. And the reason for that is the president of Israel is a socialist. I mean, real lefty. So if anybody in Israel is going to kind of go Biden's way that they should ceasefire, it's going to be that group.
Exactly.
And it should send Biden a signal that these people are worried about their survival. And Bibi went as far as he could go delaying. I think people got killed because of the delay, but he knows he needs America.
Right.
But he also needs to save his people.
Yes.
I mean, he can't stay with America if he's going to start losing Israeli lives.
Hey, what does the American media do now? The American media, every time they got a chance to talk to Bibi, would say, hey, your people don't support you. They're not going to reelect you. Why would you do this? You should probably wait. You should. And Netanyahu said, the only way that we're going to have a ceasefire is when we're done destroying the people that attacked us. And for the president, who is not aligned with him at all, to take that same side, the America and the world media now, they're in a pickle because they can't work Netanyahu versus the president. How do they do that?
Yeah. When
they're on the same side. But that's what they were doing the entire time, Rudy. And,
right.
And they're saying Biden and the president are on this side, and Bibi, you just want to kill people.
Right.
Well, now it's 2 against 1, and Biden doesn't have a say.
Come out against it. Durbin for the Democratic Senate has said they're against it. Notice Schumer is the leader.
Right.
So he sends out his number 2, the little. Well, I got to be careful. The little squirm.
Yes.
He sends out. I mean, he's not man enough to come out and say, you know what?
Well, he can't. He's Jewish, and he'll lose his state.
Of course, the people who are Jewish are going to say, "What kind of traitor are you?"
Of course.
So Durbin comes out and says the Democrats in the Senate would like a ceasefire. Well, great. Their lives are not at stake. Go ahead. You have a ceasefire, but Israel's not going to have one.
Right.
How about a ceasefire on Trump? That would be good.
You know, the whole.
Why about a ceasefire in Ukraine?
Well, wouldn't that be something? Nobody talks about Ukraine anymore.
Aren't people getting killed there?
No, don't worry about it. He's winning. Zelensky's winning, we're told.
Well,
with $150 billion of our money. He's winning somehow, but he wants more.
60 billion more. 60 billion more.
And if you don't want to do it, Mr. Mayor, Putin. You're a Putin puppet if you don't do it.
Yeah. Now,
it's crazy.
Here's my terrible thought. If Biden doesn't do it, we get to see the rest of the hard drives.
Well, there you go, right?
Because Zelensky's got everything.
Right.
Ukraine, Russia, China. I've got, I would say, of the Biden crime family. When you throw in the other evidence I acquired, I got about half.
Right.
But they have everything else. I even know some of the things they have because I know the Ukrainian prosecutors. Like all Zelensky has to say, if he doesn't want to give the money, exactly what was the number of those offshore bank accounts? I can't remember. Did it start with an X or a Y? I've got to go let me take a look.
Wow.
He's got the whole thing on
Wow.
him. Got pictures that we don't have.
So the money can't stop.
It's like
Because
China.
then it'll
China.
expose them.
No, and that's why it should be a standalone bill, because it's a highly unusual circumstance. I mean, this would be like if we were talking at dinner. This would be like if Kennedy or Reagan got paid off by the Soviet Union.
Right.
And all of a sudden, they want to send money to them. And you're wondering why.
It doesn't make any sense. Something else we talked about at dinner was Hamas and Palestinians and the attempt to separate them. So you can't go in if you're Israel because you're separating the government that they voted for from the people that voted for them. Hamas is the government.
Yes, of course.
And
Yeah,
Hamas, you can't get Hamas without going into what would be Palestine and getting them. If you don't do that, you're going to get hit again, aren't you?
Yeah, they will do this again, and at when they think they can get. And what will happen is, and this I think helped to cause 9/11. If you don't have a really strong response, they hit you harder next time.
Right.
I mean, the basic rule with terrorists is you cannot back down to bullies. The minute you take a step back, I mean, that was the history with the red lines in Syria. That's what, unfortunately, he's doing with our military installations that are being hit. We've been hit now 26 times. We've hit back twice. They've injured 26 Americans. They killed one. We've injured no one. We've killed no one. They're wiping us out. I mean, it's a shutout.
And for 4 years, they didn't do that.
Right. And we have liars getting up there for Biden saying it's not connected. These are Iranian proxies. It's the Houthis. It's Hezbollah. It could even be the National.
Something you said at dinner. If you've got a country that claims it's not backing terrorism, but then their parliament chants death to America, death to Israel, why don't we take them seriously when they say that?
Yeah, I would say if people were chanting death to my family, I would take that seriously. When the mafia put out a contract on me, we took it seriously, even though we didn't think they would do it, we still took it seriously.
Well, Mr. Mayor, the left in this country literally will tell you and me to our faces, they don't really mean death to America. They're saying it, but they don't mean it.
They killed a lot of Americans. I mean, the Iranians have killed a lot of Americans.
Right.
There are a lot of American families that don't have their children anymore because of the Ayatollah, because of Soleimani, who Trump had the guts to take out and Biden opposed taking out. Why you would oppose taking out Soleimani? The man was a professional killer.
That's all he did.
Yeah, I mean, he was like... he
was a professional killer of Americans.
And Jews.
Yeah,
and,
exactly right.
And we're connected, in their minds, we're connected together. Israel is the first step in destroying America.
Does Israel have to wait? If Biden says don't go in, do they have to listen to him?
I don't think they are listening to him.
I agree.
You can't imagine behind the scenes how... I mean, enough of it... At first, they lied about it.
Right.
Now it's coming out completely. Biden wants a ceasefire. And Bibi is basically saying, no, I got the momentum. This is like telling me, I'm on the 10-yard line, and you want me to stop the game for 2 days.
Exactly right. Yeah, it might have been Maria, it might have been you, but you had a ceasefire before October 7th.
Yeah.
And who broke it?
Yeah. And what did they do? And you can't. I mean, I really. This is probably controversial, but I really do think that the Israelis should release more of the film of what's disgusting and horrible and awful. People can decide whether to watch it or not, but you got to put it in their face. I mean, a lot of times they'll think it's exaggerated, but I mean, I've talked to a lot of people there. It is not exaggerated. I've seen a little bit of it. I've been trying to get the 45.
It's barbaric.
I've been trying to. They did a 45-minute film about a week ago that they showed to everyone in Israel. People were getting sick, but I think it's worth taking it around America.
Agree.
I mean, face what they did. I mean, this is unheard of. Israel doesn't do this. They're not going in there and taking babies' heads off. They are doing avoid civilian casualties consistent with killing the people who want to kill them.
They're warning people, get out of the way, we're coming.
Right, and they're telling you to stay
and
there.
Hamas won't let you go.
Right, which is a war crime, by the way.
It is.
Hiding, using civilians as a shield is a war crime.
Right.
Nobody's raising that.
Why do you think so many people in America are rallying and protesting for the other guys? Are they just indoctrinated?
Yeah, it's partly indoctrination. I think it's partly anti-Semitism too.
I think you're right.
Unfortunately,
Sadly.
You'd like to think, I don't know how there were periods of time in the last 30 years or so, I thought it was over with. I thought anti-Semitism was, still there, but not this, what we're looking at. But
Right.
This is a massive outbreak of anti-Semitism. In New York, 60% of the hate crimes are anti-Semitic. And that's a lot. That's a big percentage, since people are white, 18% of the population.
Right.
That's a tremendous, and that's a little up right now. But if you look at the last couple of years, there's been a lot of anti-Semitic hate crime. It doesn't get. The Jews have become part of the establishment, so they don't get any sympathy anymore. It's it's amazing. If you're dead, you're dead.
Yes. Exactly right.
Well, the other thing that was done today to combat the hate and the problems in America is the Biden administration established a new program, a new administration program to combat Islamophobia.
Well, thank God.
It's going to be called the Anti-Islamophobia Campaign. And listen to this. Vice President Harris.
Rudy.
I think the Islamic people said, don't bother. Please. We're not doing too bad right now.
Well, here's the thing.
The Jews are getting hit, not us. Just please don't put her in charge.
She's the border czar.
That's why.
So if you're a Muslim in America, I feel for you.
When she took over the border, there were 400,000 people that came in that last year of Trump. This year, there were 2.6 million.
Right. So again, if you're a Muslim, I feel for you because if she's going to stop Islamophobia, you know what blows my mind is that nobody wants Islamophobia or people to be attacked because they're Muslim. Nobody wants people to be attacked because
they're Christian. Of course not.
When Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about anti-Semitism specifically a week and a half ago, her answer was about stopping Islamophobia. It's like there's some weird disconnect in this administration that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, on the evening of September 11, with everything else that I was thinking about, I made a real plea to harm anyone who was Arab, not to harm anyone that was Muslim. I said, we don't want to be like the people who attacked us.
Yes, we're all New Yorkers.
We're different than that.
Yeah.
And we're a different civilization. We have a different religion. We're different than they are. And we don't attack innocent people. And I'd be very, very disappointed if the people in New York did that. But having thought about it, Kerrick and I put together a task force, and we took a specific large number of police officers, and with everything else we were protecting, including worrying about a further attack from them,
right,
which was still on the table, we used them. We sent a task force in to protect them. And eventually, after 2 weeks, we took them out because nobody got attacked. And I was so proud of the people of New York. And then I held a press conference with Islamic leaders and with Bernie, and I said, I'm so proud of you. And there'll be. I don't want anybody to think they can take advantage. There'll still be we don't really need this anymore.
Well, Rudy, this is just going to be for optics, right? Because she's not going to do anything. Kamala Harris isn't good at anything. So
that's what I'm saying.
It's got to be.
We kind of made a joke out of it. It's half serious. She's fouled up everything she's done.
Right. The Islamic community is very upset tonight over this announcement.
I would be. Jeez. If she does the same thing to the Islamic community she's done to the border.
Right, it's a problem.
We'll have yeah. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with Pags and me, and we got a lot of other stuff to talk about. The Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now.
We're back.
Well, welcome back to America's Mayor Live. And don't forget to get your $11 a month in. Be a good time to do it with our troops getting hit by really, nobody has their back. So send an $11 in per month. This would be a good time. This would be a good time to do it. So, Joe, you know, I was once mayor of New York.
You were? Get out of here.
Yeah. A lot of people don't remember. They don't remember it. There used to be.
The best mayor
people walk
ever.
up to me and they say, "You used to be somebody."
That's not true. We went to the restaurant tonight. Everybody went, we want a picture, Mr. Mayor.
You used to be somebody. I could have been changed. So one of my successors, you know, he's probably not part of the Golden Circle. So you asked me what the Golden Circle is.
Right.
The Golden Circle are the Democrats that cannot be prosecuted for anything. Now, some Democrats cannot be prosecuted for some things, but they're like in the Silver Circle, the Brass Circle, or the Nose Circle. I think he got kicked out of the Golden Circle like Menendez when he criticized Biden because they just ripped apart his chief fundraiser's home with a search warrant from the FBI. And according to the leak, which, you know, the FBI, that's an official part of the FBI, they leaked,
Right.
The present FBI. And they said that they scheduled it because they knew he was going to be out of town.
No,
You think, I mean, and there's got to be a suspicion that, I mean, he's been very hard on Biden.
right.
So a couple of weeks ago, Menendez, they could have brought that case 2 years ago.
Yes.
All of a sudden, they bring, and he criticizes him on Iran, he criticizes him on the budget. Boom. I mean, and who knows how many of those Democrats are corrupt where you could bring a case against them, more than just.
They probably have a file like this. If you step out of line, I'm going to bring a case.
It used to be what Hoover used to do with Lyndon Johnson.
Right.
You go see him every Thursday and give him the people he could extort. I mean, this is not unknown in the American government. It's never been done with the kind of fascist
Right.
spirit that this is done. But it's very hard to believe that they didn't do this because Adams is not in the Golden Circle,
Well,
like
what
Biden
happened?
and Clinton and
Right.
Pelosi and
The Obamas.
the Obamas.
Yeah,
I think
they might run the circle.
Yeah, they own the circle.
Yeah.
They put you in and take you out.
As you know, I'm based in Texas. New York kid, but based in Texas. And Eric Adams came down to the border, and he actually saw it. And once you go there and see it, you can't go back and lie about what you just saw because the cameras were rolling. And he now understands what the problem is. And they only got 100,000, 125,000 in New York City, whereas we get 7 to 8 million in Texas.
No,
You know,
and he's
border.
crying over it.
Right. And
Plus, he invited them. You didn't.
he was a sanctuary city. Come on.
Yeah, not just a sanctuary city. He actually, when he's running for office, said he wanted to be the best sanctuary. He wanted to be like Uber sanctuary city.
If you're going to be a sanctuary city, you should be the best sanctuary
Yeah,
city.
that's right. Get 100,000 that you can't pay for.
So he goes to the border. He sees it. Then he goes to the White House. They ignored him. Rudy, you know. They did not want to give him any money. They didn't want to talk to him about
Well, he had already started criticizing him. But I have to tell you, Joe, they are somewhat thin-skinned. He really didn't attack him.
No, he just said we need the money.
He attacked him a little bit. It gave the New York Post the chance to use it.
Right.
He didn't say the kinds of things.
No, he said we need the help. We need the funding.
If they did this to New York when I was mayor,
What would you do?
I first of all, if I were a Democrat, I'd go tell them I'm supporting the other party.
Wow.
Well, how'd you like to see the mayor of New York supporting Donald Trump, pal? I mean, I did that. I mean, I'm not just.
But was it naivete by him that he thought that they wouldn't do this to him? Did he think he was in the circle?
Yeah, maybe. You know, he doesn't. People have told me he really should be taking Bragg out. But Bragg is getting us killed left and right.
Yes.
He's the DA who was put in by Soros.
Right.
and and he knows that the guy is a disaster, but he never criticizes him. And people tell me he doesn't criticize him because the guy can put him in jail. But I guess he never thought the federal government had come after him. And this is the U.S. My old office is the U.S. Attorney's Office,
Right.
in Southern District of New York, and he may be innocent of this, but it's still a way to extort.
Yeah, no, Rudy, this isn't about, you know this better than anybody. This isn't about convicting him. This is about making him look as bad as possible
100%.
to get him out of that office
And to shut him up.
punish him.
And just shut him up.
Yeah, exactly right.
Like what they try to do to me and Trump and the people that
Doesn't
represent
matter
Trump.
if you're guilty.
They put you, they kill you with the process.
Yes.
And I mean, I don't know enough about the case to even tell you if it's a good case, a bad case, a make-believe case. I never heard anything about it.
Right.
And given what's going on now, who the hell knows? I mean,
But it's kind of funny it comes out now after he complained.
I have no doubt.
Nobody said a word before then.
Exactly. And an awful lot of other Democrats that could be ahead of him to be prosecuted for a lot more serious things than
Definitely.
a campaign finance violation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of these things they pick. Menendez's charge looks like a serious one.
Right.
It's kind of like
But they let him float for how long? These have been around
2
a long
years.
time.
But in comparison to Biden,
It's nothing.
Menendez is like a cheap little nothing.
Right.
I mean, the Bidens were talking about the multiple millions
Right.
and selling out to China.
No, Rudy, the left in the Congress said there's no evidence. they said there's no evidence. What do you mean? You've got Rudy, you've got smart come out to a microphone and a camera every day and say there's literally no evidence. Why are they doing this? And we've seen the $200,000 check now.
Right. And you're going to see a lot more.
We've seen the FD 1023 by the federal agent or the undercover informant. But they still, I mean, people who I think are smart. Dan Goldman comes out
and the repayment of the loan. The repayment of the loan.
Well, that was nice, right?
What loan?
Right.
There's no loan document. What loan?
Biden told the truth, though. He said, "Where's the money?"
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and there's still probably a big portion of it.
Right.
Probably a big portion of it. That's
Right.
also Adams was headed there for a meeting he's been trying to get for about 6 months with Biden to impress on him that New York, Chicago, I think he went with Mayor of Chicago and the Mayor of LA,
Right.
that they need help. And maybe to impress on them, the most important help they need is to stop it.
Yes.
Because, I mean, if we do another 100,000, the city's gone.
Could Biden stop it tomorrow if he wanted to?
100%. Well, they'd have to get Border Patrol retrained and up to speed. But yeah, of course he could. I mean, if Trump had it down to 450,
Right.
there's no reason why he can't get it down to 450. To try to get, he'd have to try to get Mexico to agree again to doing the processing in Mexico.
Right. And keeping them there.
Yeah.
Until their hearing.
Which I'm not sure. The mayor of Mexico, who Trump, that was brilliant what Trump did with that. The guy may be so far tells now he can't do that anymore.
He gave Biden an award for not building any wall. He actually literally gave him an award. Thank you for not building any wall.
Maybe they should take down their wall that they have in the south of Mexico.
Imagine that. So Eric Adams is out, huh? Okay.
So I don't know. He's not in the club. And maybe he can work with by saying false, nice things about Biden. But he missed a meeting. He missed a meeting on the border, which hurts all the people in New York,
Right.
except for the fact that so did Biden. It was a little too early in the morning, and Biden couldn't make it. It was 9
He
o'clock.
wasn't awake yet.
It was 9 o'clock, and he couldn't. Come on.
He functions between 11 and 2? That's it?
Yeah, that's when he goes to the beach, right?
Right, right.
That's his beach hours, and when he's in Washington, those are his working hours.
Right. And then they put a lid on it. I never heard of a lid before this guy. Going to put a lid on it on Thursday afternoon.
Yeah,
Really?
I wish they had put a lid on Trump. I'd be like a lot younger now. Like the calls at
That's
3
not
in the
gonna
morning.
happen. That's not gonna
3 in the
happen.
morning, 4 in the morning,
No, he's who he is. That
2 in
wasn't
the
gonna do
morning. Did you see that article? Mr. President, I'm asleep. Yeah, but you see the article? Yeah, my sleep. I saw the article in my sleep. I dreamed about it. So we will take a short break. So Dr. Maria was signaling me. Was that the reason you were signaling me? To take a break?
Our device is something that you can plug into your television And now you can use your television as a social television type experience. So in the Portal universe, you can watch your favorite content creators' videos, live streams, music. We also have TV subscriptions as well.
TV subscriptions.
You can also
regular channels, all the sports.
Right, you can actually cut your cable from your cable subscription and get QUX TV on our QX TV boxes, and you can pay half the price that you're currently paying for your cable television subscription, and you can get all the best premium TV channels and more. I mean, it's really, there's so much on there, Rudy. I mean, you've seen it.
No, I've seen it and I use it, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's just exactly the same except for half the price. Plus, nobody is finding out what I'm watching, and that's not being reported to anybody.
Right, so you have absolute privacy using this device, which you don't have on other devices out there currently on the market.
This is absolutely great. QUX.TV is how you can find out about it. QUX.TV.
Use promo code RUDY to receive $30 off.
We are back with America's Mayor, with my good friend and your good friend Pags, who is on every day, and you've got to. I mean, this show absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
I never am disappointed when I go on. I'm always exhilarated when I finish. So Senator Scott has endorsed Trump.
Yes.
So that's a key choice because he's a Florida senator and the former governor of Florida. And I would say, I believe that DeSantis is a good governor.
I agree.
But he was too. Scott was an excellent governor.
Agreed.
He had an approval rating that was enviable when he ran for re-election. And I campaigned for him his second time, I think, when Charlie Crist ran against him.
That was such a mess.
Yeah, and I gave a speech at the Versailles in Little Havana, and I said, in the speech, which they taped, it wasn't going to be a commercial.
Right.
I said, Charlie Crist is the most dishonest man I met in politics. I've ever met in politics.
Man.
Well, they played it on a commercial.
Oh, no.
And he has at times when he introduced me, credits me with having won the election for him.
There you go. Well,
But
I believe that.
it wasn't like a scripted,
Right.
he's a liar. I just said he's the most dishonest man I ever met in politics.
I don't want to, but you just brought something up that's great, and I wonder what you think as somebody who's in Florida on it again. Why is this thing going on? Why is DeSantis running? He's got 16%. You got a guy who's ahead of him by 30 points. You now have the former governor backing Trump. DeSantis would have been a shoo-in, I believe, in 28. I don't get it.
And I think he hurt himself for 28 by doing this. I don't know. I don't know why. Sometimes you start a machine like this, and you can't get out of it.
Gotcha.
I realized. I stayed in for the New Hampshire primary, and I could have stayed in for two more, maybe even one New York, as a symbolic thing. But I decided that I wanted McCain over Romney.
Right.
So I said, better for me to get out and make sure that McCain wins New York.
Well, that's how you bring the party together.
We can stop Romney. Yeah.
Right.
And
but I don't get what we're looking at here because, again, I've interviewed DeSantis. I've interviewed Trump 13 times. So we know these people. They're all good people. I don't understand why we don't have any angst.
And it is critical that we beat either Biden or whoever comes in as the pinch hitter, which could be even more difficult than Biden at this point. Right? I think Nikki Haley. I thought I saw a poll today. Ted, you keep track of these. There was a poll yesterday where Haley and DeSantis are tied in Iowa.
I saw that
16
each. Right.
16 each, and Trump is at 43. Right. I saw something today that Haley is in second place.
Wow.
Now, was that in a specific place or is that a general poll?
Yeah, let's look into that.
Ted's working on it.
We'll get back to
in any event, she has made some real strides against him, but it's like they're canceling each other out.
Agreed.
So maybe it's even better for Trump that they're there. They just kind of like kick the same vote back and forth. And
I hadn't thought of that.
He's got his solid 40 to 60%, depending on the poll.
Right. And he's not going to change because of them.
No,
I
he's
agree
got his
Right.
people love him and with him,
Right.
and a real base of them were with him even when things were, look bleaker.
Right.
So they're not going to. They're not going to move. And the more the contrast with Biden, the better it is for him. It's hard not to say, gee, even though I didn't like him, things were.
Right.
We didn't have a world at war. It didn't cost 13% more for Halloween candy.
100%.
The price of gasoline is going up again.
Right.
And then when you see Biden, he looks like he's disappearing. Every time you see him, he looks worse and worse and worse.
And you see him less now.
Yeah, and we've got wars going on.
Right.
And we've got a war in Ukraine. It looks like it's going to be, a war without end. Amen. There's no conceivable plan to end the darn thing.
Well, the question in war has always been,
You have to
we didn't know
define
what it
it.
was going to be in Afghanistan. We didn't know what it was going to be now. We don't know.
Well, Israel has defined victory, wiping out Hamas.
Exactly right. And in Ukraine, we don't know when it ends.
Well, I mean, I guess the Ukrainians would say victory ends when they throw the Russians out.
Well, they're not going to be able to do that physically.
I don't think so.
Militarily, it doesn't look like it.
I think no matter how much I'm going to do it, and I always question, and I'm sorry to do it, but I always question how much of that money gets to where it's supposed to go in a country like Ukraine, which is this, always considered to be the second most corrupt in the world.
You told me that from day one.
And I can tell you from personal experience, I don't know if it's the second most corrupt or the most corrupt or the fifth.
Yeah.
But this kind of money coming into the Ukraine, those oligarchs are going to take a lot of it.
Of course they are.
And, you say, well, they're not patriots. They don't view it that way. These people can be tremendous patriots. They could actually be going out there risking their lives, but they believe they're entitled to the money.
You and I and the American people have asked, where is that money going? Give us some accountability for that
There's
money.
not.
They won't do it.
There is none.
We're not allowed to know.
Somebody wrote on some Democrat reporter, sycophant wrote, most of it is not in cash. So my question is, if most of it, what is the portion that wasn't in cash?
Right.
Since it's over $100 billion,
Right.
Let's say it's 20%.
Right.
Cash.
Right.
And there's an attitude and the corruption is built into the system. And they have an American president that can hardly do a damn thing about their corruption
Right.
because he was part of it. And they're not stupid like we are. When I was there, people were wondering why I had to go through this. Everybody in Ukraine knows he's a crook.
Right.
When he lectures us on corruption, we just laugh. We just laugh because he was very, very close to Poroshenko, who was a massive thief, who got defeated by Zelensky, 70-30 because he was a thief.
Right.
And they were very close friends. And people don't, somebody should remind people that the last 3 of his 4 days as vice president, he didn't spend in Washington cleaning up his papers. He had already stolen those documents.
Right.
He was in Ukraine.
I didn't even know that.
3 of the last 4 days.
Did not know
So
that.
why do you think he was in Ukraine? To make sure that money was going to flow in after. Because their money was still coming. And the FBI, I gave, the U.S. attorney in Pittsburgh has now come forward and said a few things. But I gave the U.S. attorney in Pittsburgh, myself and Bob Costello, we gave him a witness who was the chief accountant at Burisma, who was willing to give up the bank accounts if they put her in the witness protection program.
Wow.
The FBI never interviewed
didn't
her.
take it?
Barr never interviewed her. Barr did the same thing with that he did with the election fraud. He didn't do anything about it. When Barr says, I investigated election fraud, that's a complete lie. He investigated election fraud just like he helped the woman in Ukraine or Bobolinsky, who the FBI interviewed once and never went back to. And the guy,
Unbelievable.
the guy is like a direct witness to Biden being part of the criminal deals.
Right.
Don't interview him again. What they basically would do is when you presented them with evidence, they put it in a silo. And
Yeah, but what is that? Because Bill Barr was supposed to be on our side. Tough guy. He was going to stop the corruption. We were going to weed it all out. And they were spying on Trump at Trump Tower. He said all the right things, and he's writing a book. I don't get it.
I would need to know the answer to why he covered up the hard drive. which is astounding to me.
Yeah.
And there's no answer to it.
Right.
I mean, why, if any professional prosecutor reading that, the crimes jump off the pit.
Yes. It's easy.
It's like, yeah, some of them are so, like, he signed the document saying he wasn't a drug addict, and he is.
Right.
That's a 10-year felony.
Pretty easy,
all right, easy. They've got a $3.4 million money laundering transaction that's just on one page,
Right.
given to them by the government of Latvia,
Right.
all certified. All you got to go do is go get those records, and you're ready to prosecute a $3.4 million money laundering, which is bigger than most money laundering.
Right.
And some of the money went to Joe. They got a notation for the amount of money that went to Joe.
And you had the bulldog. You had Bill Barr. And he did nothing.
Yeah, I mean, and you also had some things that could be interpreted as child pornography,
Agreed.
which they didn't do anything with.
It's all right there in his hard drive.
And you would think that
we don't know how old these people are. You're right. It's all over the place.
Yeah. So I don't know. I can't explain it. I can't explain what Barr was doing. But when people say, well, like they're trying to convict Trump because they said, well, how could Trump be questioning the election? His attorney general told him that he hadn't won. That's the same attorney general that he knew was obstructing justice.
Right. Exactly
The
right.
same attorney general for which there was no explanation of why he withheld evidence that would have completely exonerated him during the impeachment.
Right.
General who let Biden accuse me and him of being Russian agents and discounting the hard drive that would have destroyed Biden. And his attorney general sat there hiding it.
Crazy. It's nuts. It is. It's unreal.
So we'll have to see. Hunter has a new, very, very sympathetic. Did you know that Hunter was a drug addict?
I've heard
And that's
things.
why he did
I've
the
heard
whole
things, yes.
He sold us out to China because he's a drug addict.
Oh, the drugs did it.
The drugs
not
got
know.
him to sell us out to China. So we lose an airbase, and we lose. We don't do anything about fentanyl, and let 70,000 people a year die when Trump had that under control too, because he's a drug addict.
That's his defense?
Yeah, I mean, and he's a drug addict, and China was giving him $20 or $30 million because China likes to pay drug addicts.
Drug addicts would like to hear that. They didn't know that.
I mean, the fact that he's a drug
What is
addict.
that?
The fact that he's a drug addict.
He's playing the victim, Rudy?
Yeah. He's got he did a whole interview where he's a drug addict, and they have criminalized drug addiction. Well, they haven't criminalized it, and the law that he's talking about is a law that every liberal supports. It's people should not have guns who are criminals, mentally ill, or drug addicts.
Right.
Because they're dangerous. He's the third one.
So he admitted to that.
Yeah. And he's complaining about it. He's being victimized because he's a drug addict. Well, that's what the law is. The law is to prevent you from having a gun. It also makes the explanation that this money was for Joe even clearer. Because if he's a drug addict,
Nobody's giving him the
why
money.
are these organized criminals and murderers who are smart as hell paying him all this money? Why is who stole about $40 billion, probably had his partner killed, he's giving the drug addict $10 million to fix his case?
I just want to make sure that I understand. Hunter Biden, the guy who got $3.5 million from the oligarch's wife in Russia, went on Air Force Two to China, left managing $1 billion for the Chinese oligarchs.
But he's a drug addict.
The guy who lives in Malibu, the guy who has a privileged life and goes on vacation every weekend on Air Force One with his dad. He's the victim in this.
He's the victim.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't realize that. Maria, did you know that? I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really terrible. I mean, and the real question is, first of all, I think it makes the case again because now the explanation for the money
It couldn't be Hunter.
doesn't exist at all because these people are not jackasses. I mean,
Exactly.
They didn't make all that money by being stupid,
Right.
or get fooled. I mean,
Right.
But it also raises something else that bothers me as a father. So you find out at some early age that Hunter is addiction prone,
Yes.
which I think probably was when he was a teenager,
Right. I agree.
and you put him in this kind of life. I mean, this is the kid that's got to be protected.
Right.
This is the kid that should be a professor at a college, and you steer him in that direction.
Yes.
You don't use him as your bag man. I mean, I'm telling you, you and I know mafia guys that wouldn't do
Yes.
this.
Oh, I
swear to God,
agree.
half of them wouldn't do it. Half might have because they sort of divide a little between people who are actually pretty good people, but they got involved in it, and then people who are horrible. But a lot of them would keep a kid like that
100%.
out of it. They might take the tough kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like using Fredo. They're not going to use Fredo.
Right. They sent him to go run the casino.
Yeah, right.
You know, they had somebody else run the organization. Yeah.
You take a guy who's a drug addict and you put him in with the worst criminals in the world. Here's another one they never mentioned. He was partners for 6 or 7 years with Whitey Bulger's nephew.
Nobody talks about that.
Yeah. And it's like,
No big deal.
No, Whitey Bulger's nephew. He's partners with Whitey Bulger's nephew, who was also partners with the Red Chinese. I mean, this is extraordinary. It's extraordinary what he gets. That's why it's the golden circle.
It is.
You
Yep.
get in that
and
golden.
he's in it.
Yeah. I wonder if you could get away with murder in the golden circle.
Well, I'm not going to bring up the Clintons. I'm not going to say the word Clinton. Not me. Because I don't think they did anything wrong to anybody. I'm going to say that on the record.
Well, we're getting a lot of comments. A lot of people excited to have Joe Tagliarulo.
Hey, nailed it. Hey.
All right.
Come on, Ted. Come on.
With us this evening, a lot of exciting chatter in the comment sections across platforms. What we're hearing is, and I guess they want your opinion on this. Both of you know who Jeff Bezos is.
Yes.
Apparently, he's packing his bags, leaving Seattle for the sunny shores of Miami. Do you think Mr. Bezos moving down, is that going to add value to the region? Any reaction to that? Jeff Bezos is moving to Miami.
Jeff, stay in Seattle. Please don't. please don't bring that mess to Miami. What's the matter with you? If you come to Miami, remember why you leave. That's the thing I want people to remember. When they go to Texas and Florida and these states that are free,
you get a little of that.
Leave your voting back where you were. Don't vote that way here. You messed it up for them. So, Jeff, come, but bring a different voting outlook, hopefully.
I'd like to see really polling on that, because the situation in New York always was. New York to go to Nassau, Suffolk, Westchester, and northern New Jersey, they became Republicans.
Right.
Because at one time, the biggest Republican vote was in Nassau County, New York.
Right.
I think it was one of Ronald Reagan's biggest pluralities or majorities in Nassau County. We started to lose with Bush and Clinton.
Right.
And then Trump has had trouble in the suburbs, although he did better the time that he lost.
Right. He lost. Right.
He actually did better in the suburbs. And the last 2 elections, we've done much better in the suburbs. In fact, we've won back Nassau County, the Republican Party, but now we win it by 2 or 3%. We used to win it by 15.
I've been in Texas 18 years. And when I moved to Texas, Harris County, which is where Houston is, was all red. San Antonio, where I am now, most of that county, Bexar County, was reddish. Travis County, where Austin is, you've got Dallas, you've got the big cities in Texas. 18 years later are all blue. Really? All of them are blue now. So what they're doing is they're bringing people in, they're enticing people to come in, and a lot of them forgot why they left where they left. I think you're right. The people who have wealth and the people who have something to move for,
right?
I think they're changing the way they vote because they don't want it to be like it was.
Right.
But when you bring people in and draw them in a higher minimum wage, or it's a welfare, or it's a whatever it is, if you have the nanny state, those people now owe them a vote.
Yeah, yeah.
And Texas is still blue, is still red, but they're trying to make it blue by taking every big city. I hope that's not something that can happen from Seattle and Portland the same way.
Yeah, because we won Texas we win Texas 7 to 10 votes, 10%.
Right.
Texas used to be 20%.
It should be.
Yeah, and Florida, of course, has just come back solidly in the Republican column, and I think DeSantis gets some of the real credit for that as well. You know, DeSantis also straightened out the voting in Florida.
Right.
Got rid of the 2 crooks that were running Palm Beach County, and Palm Beach County was the place where they fixed elections in Florida.
Absolutely.
Palm Beach and Broward.
Yeah.
But you see, they could only fix an election if it was about 2%. But when you brought in all of the when you went from like 200,000 or 300,000 to 2 million, the opportunity to add on top of that 2 million, you can add about 10%. So 10% of 200,000 is nothing. 10% of 2 million, you can fix an election. Yeah,
you can. The one thing that I'll say about people moving, and again, Bezos, you change your outlook. Having said that, the last election showed the Republicans are finally convincing Latinos that they are conservative people. I think Latinos have automatically voted blue for a long, long time. Now, in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas, they're voting red. South Florida, they're voting
Is it
red.
the social issues?
Yes, because family-oriented, they're Catholic, they're anti-abortion, they are social issues. They are very conservative.
And they've actually pushed the social issues over the cliff.
Yes.
With the
Here's what Soros is doing.
Yeah.
Bought 14 radio stations.
Right.
that
Better
have
Spanish language.
Spanish
Yeah.
language. Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't hear the doctor.
Very conservative.
Yeah, I mean, again, Hispanics, Italians, people
Right.
they were of the same sort of background. But Dr. Maria gets it right that Soros is now buying the information that people are consuming in that community. If you're in that community, by the way, A, love you. B, keep on realizing that the left has pushed you away on purpose, like Rudy said. Those when you are vehemently, you got to abort anytime you want until 9 months, Hispanics don't want to hear that. So I think that's a big block that the conservatives and Republicans can focus on, right?
Absolutely. So we'll take a short break. You know what this is time for,
That's right.
right?
So it's going to be a short one, 15 seconds.
And I'll get my balance of nature.
Body is an amazing chemical laboratory. When you give it the right chemistry, it functions the best. Balance of Nature is the ultimate whole fruit and vegetable chemistry.
Get 35% off your first order by using discount code RUDY.
Good. Thank you. Had a big meal.
And
You know
welcome
what
back.
would
Thanks for
happen if I
joining
gave you these? You'd be jumping up and down all night.
us. We're back on. Thanks for joining us. This hour is flying by. We're down to.
Well, let's remind them of Balance of Nature. Here's your two fruits and veggies, condensed, all you need. You don't have to worry if did you have enough? Didn't you have enough? This is what is contained in all of those supplements that you get. A little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here. They come from fruits and vegetables. And now you get them in natural form. And I take 2 in the morning, and I take 2 more now. And I don't sleep. I don't have to. Not
Of
true.
course, be sure to use that promo code Rudy for 35% off. Wow, that's 35% off your first order. And again, by using that promo code, you're not only doing your body a favor, but you're supporting everything the mayor's doing as he remains on the front lines of this fight for truth.
Justice in the American way.
To steal
That used to be
quote
the-
from our friend, the American way.
The people that are listening and watching, Rudy, R-U-D-Y.
Wow, look at that.
All right.
Wow.
A little
So,
extra.
what do we got? Any? Do our friends?
We're getting a lot of comments. Folks are asking, Joe, we haven't. Why aren't you running for office? We've heard so much from you. We have America's mayor here. What do you say to people that are asking for you?
My standard answer is I couldn't take the pay cut. and I don't want any donors to tell me what I can and can't say. I like to say whatever I want on my show. So, but thank you for asking.
And that's the nice thing about being on his show. It's his show.
That's right. Nobody controls it.
And folks want to know where, and so they can listen to you. Where are you? Obviously, they can watch you as well.
Yes.
But if they want to listen, you're on a few radio stations, if I'm correct.
Yeah, just 170 radio stations, 5 or 6 million listeners. You can find a station near you. Just look on the radio dial, or we live stream it on Twitch and we live stream it on Rumble. It's 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern. As long as he's on, watch and listen to him. But if I'm on, stop by for sure. 6 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday.
You should go to the live stream too. Everybody's gonna be doing that 5 years from now.
Right.
And then you got it with you any place you are. You can, and then it also becomes a podcast later on, right? So if you miss it,
go and watch it again later.
At midnight, you can listen to it.
I have more people that watch and listen all week, and they binge the show instead of listening during the week.
We do too.
Absolutely. So,
We do too. We do almost 2 times the people that watch it live,
right?
And within the next 24 to 48 hours.
Because people are busy. People are working.
Yeah.
They don't have the time to do exactly right then, but you can watch it later.
But I think that's the future of television and radio.
Right.
People fit it into their schedule.
Exactly right.
So this is a very tough time for me because this is when the Yankees are usually in, and to watch. I know you're from Texas, so
I'm from New York.
I
though.
don't.
I'm not a Texas
I
fan.
didn't even know that these teams were in the major league. The Texas Rangers.
Oh, yes, you did. Because Nolan Ryan pitched for the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, I know,
You
and they
who
knocked us
are.
out of the playoffs. And the Arizona broke
You
my
know
heart.
that, yeah,
Really?
you were
Broke
there.
my heart in the World Series. I probably wanted to win the most. To win
Right.
in 2000.
Louis
Right.
Gonzalez, or was that his
And
name?
and
I think so.
and the guy who blew it is the guy who never blew anything else ever again, which was Mariano Rivera.
Right.
And it was on a error by him, and he was a Gold Glove.
What did the Wings for
Yeah,
something?
he had a short double
Right.
play,
Right.
and he did. I don't think I ever saw Mariano commit another error.
Yeah, but
I
he
don't-
was so good, you can't complain about him.
Of course not.
He was the best.
I went to see him after the game,
Right.
and some Yankees were crying. He was sitting there very composed, and he said, I do this almost every night, and 10 times I do it right, and I know one time I'm not. And
Right.
I just feel very bad that it was now. You could tell this wasn't going to affect him. I mean, he went on.
He
and had
came
10
back and he was great.
He went on and had 10 All-Star
Right.
years,
Right.
won another World Series for the Yankees. Same thing happened to him early in his career. The first year he was a relief pitcher. The Yankees get in the playoffs with the Cleveland Indians, and they hit a home run again. He never hit home runs against. Mariano
Right.
would go a whole season and give up 2 home runs.
Right.
He gave up a home run and the Yankees lost. Young guy, 22, would ruin him, right?
Right.
He didn't lose another World Series or playoff game for about 8 years after.
Wow.
I mean, it just went. And
Well, you need a guy like that that can forget about it.
yeah.
You do.
And watching him got you spoiled.
Yeah.
A lot of relief pitchers, I don't know if you noticed this, a lot of base before
Right.
they get out of it, they like to give you a heart attack. That's right. They like Wetland, who was the relief pitcher before.
Right.
And,
I remember
and
him, yeah.
And taught, he's from Texas.
Right.
And taught Mariano, Mariano says, everything I know, I learned from Wetland. Wetland used to do that. Wetland would come in, he'd get the first guy out. Then he'd walk somebody. Then he'd get the next guy out. Then he'd walk somebody else. He'd always have the winning run on base. And he'd get out of it 9 out of 10 times.
What was Mariano's pitch? Was it the 2-seam fastball? He threw a really heavy fastball, didn't he?
He did. He threw
They called it heavy.
Yeah, it was a like a cutter. And
He would break bats.
but it dropped
Right.
very, very very, very close to the batter.
He made really good batters look stupid.
So he can't even tell you how he did it. But whatever he did with the ball, his break would take place later than the average pitcher.
Right.
He was it was like throwing a knuckleball, but at 94 miles an hour.
Wow. Well, forget about it. How you gonna hit that?
Because the knuckleball goes like that, right?
Right.
Well, his pitch almost did that. But it wasn't coming in at 70 miles an hour.
Right.
It was coming in at 93, 94, 95 miles an hour.
Right.
You're looking at it, and it's breaking. Left-handed, and he was a right-handed pitcher,
Right.
so usually the left-handers have success against him. Left-handers, when he was young, might have not even bat against him.
Exactly right.
Because the thing would break right in on your hands. They're spending their entire time bailing out of the batter's box. Strike one. Because they catch the inside corner.
On his last game, didn't Jeter and A-Rod walk out and take him out of the game?
Yes, yeah.
Wasn't that something?
Yeah.
Great
But,
pitcher. Great.
And everybody loved him. The Yankees and the Red Sox obviously have it. He never got booted at
There was a team called the Red Sox?
Yeah, there was a team called Maria's over there.
She's mad
But
at me.
he would not get booed. Even toward the end of his career, Jeter got booed there. For
Right.
the longest time, they liked Jeter and they kind of gave him a break.
Jeter's last game was in Fenway.
Oh, was it in Fenway?
Yeah,
Wow.
they gave him a standing ovation.
Standing ovation.
Well,
Oh,
we
that's
did
nice.
we
That's
did
nice.
we did with Big Papi. I mean, we booed Big Papi all through his career until the end. But Yankee fans have great respect for Big Papi.
Yeah, well, for good reason.
Yeah.
That was a beast.
Not only that, you don't know this. George Steinbrenner wanted him,
Did he really?
and he got talked out of it, and he never let them forget it.
Who did he get instead?
Well, he had Giambi.
Right. Who was
And
good? He was very good.
He had
Giambi.
Giambi. So when Big Papi became available the next year, George wanted him. And Torrey and Cashman basically said, we already have a first baseman who can't field and hits home runs. We don't need a second one who hits home runs but can't
Right.
field.
Exactly.
He said, you can never have enough left-handed hitters in Yankee Stadium. George was right and they were wrong.
Oh, I think he was too. Yeah, that short porch.
That whole thing might change if you had.
I agree.
If you had that guy on the
In
the
that
Yankees,
stadium?
yeah, on
Absolutely.
That, stadium, that guy was a 50 to 60 home run hitter in that
Agreed.
stadium. And they killed us. Then he was the only guy in baseball for a while that could hit.
Do you think he knows that?
He knows. Yeah, he knows. He knows.
Does he?
Yeah.
He knows that
Yeah, he
Stamina
may-
wanted him?
They may have even negotiated a little for him.
Would you have been mad at that?
Of course. Well, you never, you get mad at the ones who came to the Yankees,
Right,
like Johnny
right.
Damon, right?
Right.
So you,
And Johnny Damon gave us value.
Babe Ruth, I can only think of him as
Well, Babe Ruth.
Yeah, that's true.
Babe Ruth gave us the Yankees.
so Joe, you're from New York.
Yes.
And how many years did you spend in New York City before moving to Texas?
I'm not from New York City. I'm from Long Island. I'm from Amityville is where I was born.
Whoa!
Yeah.
We were just over there. Not far from Gilgo Beach.
My hometown is Copeg.
Okay.
Actually, is from Belmore. Rudy knows this.
I lived
Yeah.
in North Belmont.
I know. My grandfather was a fire chief in Belmore. So yeah, we were there. Yeah,
Wow.
he was back in the day. Don Mealy.
He used
Yeah,
to go to St. Raphael's Church.
his
in-
picture's still on the wall. We stopped by there last year. His picture's still on the wall. Yeah,
But he was in Belmore, not North Belmore. Is south,
right.
where the train station is. And in
Right.
North Belmore, it's kind of a newer community that's near the Southern State Parkway.
Yeah, I think my mother went to Farmingdale College. Is that something?
Sure, Farmingdale College.
So yeah.
It's like would be about an 8-mile ride.
Now on my father's side, my grandfather and his brothers came from Italy in 1928. They built much of Massapequa. They built a whole lot of a Great Neck Road over in on Long Island as well. They built some churches. They built the post office, the bowling alley in West Islip.
Ted got to know Massapequa with the Gilgo Beach murders, and
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we went all
Massapequa was famous.
the day after
Yeah.
he was arrested, I took him out to Massapequa, and he said, "How are we going to find his house?" I said, "There aren't that many.
Right.
We'll find his house because there'll be a lot of
where all the cars are.
Right.
there'll be a lot of
Right.
cars in front of his house.
And lo and behold, 2 minutes later,
Right.
there.
We're not going to have a
Right.
problem. We 5 minutes of driving up and down, we'll find his house."
Right. Absolutely.
Which is also why I never understood how they didn't catch him 10 years earlier when they had a description of him.
Oh, 100%.
How many guys in Massapequa do they have who are 6'8", who look like a
It was
monster?
just that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just him.
And
Go on.
yeah, we have a national audience, but those that don't know Long Island, and I'm just getting to know it, it's almost its own state, Mayor. As far as like, when I'm there, I can't.
It's very
completely
big. I mean,
explain it, but it's got its
Well,
own
there-
feel, right? As you go
Well,
out.
I
there.
would say Long Island officially has a population of 8 million people. So there are 2 million in Brooklyn, 2 million in Queens, 2
Right.
million in Nassau, 2 million in Suffolk. It's about
I
8.
don't know that Brooklyn and Queens are on Long Island. They
That's
don't know
right.
Yeah,
that.
they belong to New York City.
Right.
The other two belong to New York State.
Right. Right.
And which is very strange. But
No, it's cool.
New York City is not a city. New York City is in a confederation of counties.
Yes,
5
exactly right.
counties of the state of New York, and 2 of them are on Long Island.
So were you there in the 90s?
No. We moved in the 70s.
In the 70s?
Yeah, to Florida.
To
Yeah,
Florida,
not far from here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was here for 20 some odd years. Then we went to Michigan for a bunch of time to do television news.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Then back to New York.
Yes, and when you left New York, was part of the reason with your family? Did any of it have to do with? I know you're outside the city a little bit,
Right.
But did kind of the economic issues and the crime did that play into your reasons to leave it all, or was it?
No, everybody in New York at that point was looking to go to Florida. Everybody in New York. There's a little Florida down here. When I moved down here, people still
Yeah.
had a Southern accent.
So Lindsay,
Yeah.
It's all New York,
Right. It's all New York.
Lindsay was the mayor when you left.
I would have to think so. Yeah.
This really changed with the Mario boat lift.
Right. In
And the
1980, I
Haitian-
was here.
And the Haitian invasion.
Right.
And it went from being a very, very quiet, very safe area
Yes.
to major. I mean, for a while it was the murder.
And his prisons and sent them all north.
Apparently, exactly what Venezuela is doing. Right
Yes,
now.
exactly what they're
And
doing.
not just his prisons, Joe.
Right.
His insane asylums.
Yes.
I had the responsibility in the Reagan administration of handling that, and I built the facilities down here.
The Chrome Detention Center.
Yeah, Chrome.
Yeah.
I built that,
Yeah.
and also we had to figure out where to put the crazy Mariolitos. And when I say crazy Mariolitos, it's a terrible thing to say because 100,000 of them are wonderful people.
Right. Right.
So what Castro did was when Jimmy Carter said, "We'll take everyone,"
Right.
Castro said, "Yeah, dope. Okay, you get it. I'll give you everything." everybody.
He gave them everyone.
1,000 people who are going to be reunited, who have made great Americans. And he gave about 20,000 that were in the prisons, in the insane asylums,
Right.
the whole thing.
And Mayor, we're wrapping up the fastest summer on the internet.
Well,
but we're
Joe,
gonna roll-
thank
we're gonna
you.
roll right
Thank you,
into
Mr.
it.
Mayor. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being with us. And
Loved it.
we people have got to watch your show. Tell them how to get you one more time.
JoePags.com between 6 and 9 p.m. Eastern. You can just click on one of the links and find us there.
All right. Well, we'll be with you again tomorrow night and 3 o'clock tomorrow on WABC Radio.